Hi, folks. Today is Friday, May 22nd, and start off by apologizing for the hat. I took a walk outside. It's beautiful out, but kind of hot. I got a little sweaty and gross, so hence the hat. But really what we're going to talk about today really does relate to it starting to be great weather. We know people want to get outside. They want to do more things, and we've been working on that. You've heard some, I think, good news from your executive directors, so from Linda and Deb and Kim over the course of the past week or so about additional activities and social opportunities within the campuses. And we also know that people are interested in getting off campus. You know, this is the end of the 11th week that the COVID-19 virus has sort of been a part of our real lives. And 11 weeks is a long time. It's been about 9 weeks since we've really been kind of sheltering in place here within our campuses. And it is a long time. And folks want out, they want opportunities. We want to provide those in the safest way possible, in a way that allows you to have the best quality of life, but also keep the highest level of safety for all of our residents. So as you can probably imagine, our leadership team reads about the COVID-19 every day, and a good part of every day. And aside from what we read about ongoing vaccine work or progress with some potential antiviral treatments, most of what we read around safety is the benefits of maintaining social distance. You know, that's something that we can always do. We can stay 6 feet apart from one another. It's not always easy. We fall into some bad habits, but we can do that. We can also wear a mask. Keeping our masks on, particularly when we're having a hard time with the 6 foot distance, it's an added layer of safety and security, and we encourage everyone to do that with every interaction they may have. The last three, they're obvious, but maybe not so obvious. Outside's better than inside. So any social interactions or activity that we can have outside is less risky than if we did the exact same thing inside. That moving is better than stationary. So when we're moving around, we're not always in the same position. Anything that's spraying out of my mouth maybe isn't always pointed right at you if we're moving around. And the last part is that isolation isn't good for anyone. So much of what we've been through in the last 11 weeks is that, if someone did need to leave the campus, they'd need to quarantine for 2 weeks to allow for us to ensure that any symptoms didn't occur. And the focus of that was really around safety and protection. And while we're really big fans of avoiding risk, we can't eliminate risk right now. So we really focus on avoiding risk when we can and mitigating it when we can't avoid it. And the mindset or the spirit of what we've been doing is focusing on not just you or yourself, but also focusing on your community. Knowing that you have a responsibility to yourself and your neighbors. The safer and healthier you stay, the safer and healthier our community stays. That we as staff have that same responsibility to you and to our teammates. That there are some things we can do. We can't, unless, first of all, you can totally leave the campus if you're going to go out to a lab somewhere and cure this virus. But short of that, and you wouldn't even have to quarantine. If you wanted to do that, that'd be fine. But short of being able to cure the virus, we can maintain social distancing. We can wear our masks when we're around other people. And we can make really good choices about limiting our risk. And for the last 3 months or 2.5 months, we've been making those choices for you. And as we move into June now, I think it's time we're going to start making those choices together, but within reason. So there are some things that we're kind of open up, but with the tightest risk that we can. So keeping our circle as small as possible, but just a little bit bigger than it's been. So 3 things I want to talk about. Number 1 is, many of you have said, we really just want to go out for a drive. We want to go see the ocean. We want to see some sights. We want to just see other people drive by. We want the windows down. We want to be out. And I think we found a super creative way to do that. That's essentially risk-free. Our IT folks have located some trackers, like about the size of a deck of cards. You'd take that you'd sign it out, you'd take it with you. You would affirm that and attest that you are only going to go in your car, not leave your car, just going for a drive. If you do that with this tracker, and you come back and that's the case, you've done what you've said, then you wouldn't need to quarantine. So that gives people the opportunity to, it's a little bit of a trust but verify situation, but it gives people the opportunity to get out and drive around. We have ordered these trackers. We actually just received them today. They're going to get tested. So long as they work right, which we believe they do, we'll order a whole bunch of them and open up that opportunity in the next week or so, as soon as we can get them in. Second thing are medical appointments. Medical appointments, many of you have had essential medical appointments you've had to go to, and then you have a 14-day quarantine period. Within certain guidelines that we're going to adjust, so that would be either we drive you or you drive yourself with this tracker, you would be able to not have to quarantine. Certain locations for medical appointments, areas where case counts are high, like Manchester or Massachusetts, still would have to quarantine, but for a shorter period. The third thing is that, outside is good. Physical activity is good. Fresh air is good. And there are some things that we think are pretty low risk that people could get out to do, like hiking or golfing, or even visiting family or friends, but maintaining a proper distance, no touching, people are germy, but wearing a mask, staying outside. If we can do those, then we can combine those type of activities with what is now much better access to testing. You can get drive-through testing at Rite Aid. More information will come from your executive director on how to set that up. But for people who want to do these other types of activities and are willing to go and get tested on or after day 5, so long as they turn out to have a negative test, then they could end their quarantine period. So it wouldn't be no quarantine, but it would be a much shorter period. So all of that, all of this adds some complexity. It adds some paperwork. There's stuff to this. We're not back to normal, and we won't be for a while. But so long as we can keep the virus out of our communities, so long as keep it out of our independent side at Birch Hill and fully out of our communities in Exeter and Durham, we can do a little bit more. That could change if case counts rise, and we run the risk of that with the state opening up, with visitors coming to the seacoast in the course of the next month or so. But as we look at it now, these are reasonable changes. It allows you for a little bit more quality of life. It allows for risk that can be measured and accepted. And we think that's the right way to go for now. So I'll just end with this, and I put this in the memo, but we have learned so much over the course of these last 11 weeks. We've learned about science, and I haven't had a lot of science since high school. I've judiciously avoided science, but I've read an awful lot about science in these last 11 weeks. And we've learned a lot about supply chain. I think as a nation, we probably learned that ordering everything from China isn't the best idea. But we've also learned about communication and about community. We have, if we didn't understand community before, I think we do now. If we didn't understand interrelationship, what we call mutuality, if we didn't learn interdependence, if If we didn't understand that before, we sure do now. And I can only think that that's going to make us better. It's making us better people. It's going to make us better communities when we're on the other side of this. It's already making us better. We're looking out for one another more so now than we ever have before. And as you think about changes and opportunities to leave the community, what I'd hope you would think about is every decision you make impacts you and the person to your left and the person to your right. So hopefully 6 feet to your left and 6 feet to your right. But that's what we've been talking about with our staff since March 9th, that every decision we make impacts our residents. And now it will be every decision you make impacts your neighbors and your friends, and it also impacts our staff and their families. So we're in this together. When we say we're all in for you. I really believe you're all in for us too, and we're all in for one another. So these are some changes that I think are going to be great. I think we're going to do them well. I think you're going to make great decisions. More details to come next week and the beginning of the following week as we work through and operationalize some of these. But we wanted to kind of end the week with this for you so you know what's coming. Memo coming out today. Until then, I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. And until we see you again, wash your hands, stay 6 feet apart, and hey, why not 8? If you can stay 6, 8's good. And thank you for all you're doing and will do. We're here for you.